Hey everybody, this is Jim the Tabletop Engineer, and welcome to a new playthrough video. Today I am doing 5 leagues from the Borderlands. I know it's been a few weeks since I played this, and I had to go refresh my memory, but I am starting on preparation round number 3. In the last video, I went and I rescued Timmy and came back to town. And so I need to resolve some things and probably find a new mission. Now remember, I was supposed to rescue the individual, and the townsfolk were going to pay me 4 gold on top of, well, I guess it was just the 4 gold. So I chose it. It was recovery. Oh no, that was something else. Never mind. So, loot, nothing in town. Okay, so the reason I am doing another preparation is one of my heroes was injured, and so I chose to spend another turn just resting, and so nothing really exciting happened. But now everybody's healed up, and it's time to see what we can come up with. So I've got my book divided by the map, and if you're not familiar with it, the map, by the way, is right, where was it? It was on page, there's a map that I try to follow, which sort of helps you stay organized, and I want to find it. It's on page 90. I'm going to write that down. The map is page 90. Okay, so since I'm in the prep stage, we're going to do this by steps. There is step 1, which is the local event. So if I come back here to the prep, right here, I am in town, by the way. I'm not camping. I was able to get back from the rescue mission to the town. So the first thing I want to do is roll on a town event table. And for that, you roll a D100. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll a blue and a red. And actually, let's choose some different colors. Let's do blue and purple. Blue and purple. Blue is high, and I rolled a 0-1. Wow. Okay, and so the story went. The warband spends an evening musing on their travels where they might end up. +1 story point. That brings me up to 2, because I was down to 1. So that's good. Next, you go hard times, and this is basically where you spend money. Hard times is where it costs you. You have to see how many crew you have. I have 6, so right now my upkeep cost is a D3, and I'll roll that. It's a 1, so -1 gold mark. And so I'm down to 10 right now. Actually, no, I got 14. I'm up to 15, so I'm down to 14. Excuse me. All right. Campaign activity, step number 3. So here's where I can choose to do some things. It says the warband can take 2 campaign activities. Now, I'm in town, which means I can only do settlement stuff. That means I could go to the blacksmith, gamble, do some hard work, help the town guard, meet the locals, pray, study, train, or visit the town healer. I don't need to visit the town healer. The blacksmith really is not going to help me much. Foraging for herbs, not really helpful. I could do it. It could get me some silver tree leaf. I don't want to gamble. Hard work will pay 1 gold mark, and I can if I make an 8+ crafting test, I get an additional. And I do have one of my heroes does, or one of my is it a hero? No, one of my followers has the crafting skill. Help the town guard, which that could be it. I only needed 1 gold, so I'm not really wanting to waste time doing that. The hunting expedition is a camp only, but you can get some cool stuff. I always like to meet the locals because you never know what you're going to get there. I don't want to recruit right now, and I don't need to camp or study. Although study would let me get a new skill, but I'm not going to do it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a... let's do a meet the local. We'll do meet the local. And so what I do is I'm in a town, so I roll on this column right here, and I rolled a 44, which is a brief chat. You talk for a little while before moving on, so nothing exciting. Blech. I could do it again, or pray. No, I don't want to pray. Gamble, blacksmith, forage, hard work. We'll do the hard work. Always need money. This game is very difficult to get money. All right, so I get +1 gold mark for just choosing it, but I can make an 8+ crafting. And the way that works is, I believe I roll 2d6 and I add them, and I add my crafting skill. So I'm just going to double check something real quick here. That is a proficiency test. So yeah, it's considered a proficiency. So I can't add +1 for the crafting. I need an 8 or higher. I got a 2 + 1 is 3, and I even failed the hard work, so I only get +1 gold. So I'm back up to 15. Well, that was no good. So right now, since I'm in town, the next thing I can do, according to the prep chart, is I can trade. So I can come over here and look at what is available. There's a lot of common goods. I have 15 gold. There's just not much I can afford. Bandages would be nice. A tonic would be nice. I don't know. Spending money is just one of those things. I never seem to be able to have enough of it, especially to buy like armor and things like that. What do I want? Do I want to buy anything? All my people have weapons. I have the weapon, the bow. I think I'm okay on weapons. So maybe I want to buy some bandages and some rations. Rations, I should have enough rations. I didn't make note of how many, but I know I've got a few. Let's at least buy some bandages. I'll spend 2 down to 13 to buy -2. I've got 2 bandages. You get 2, well, it doesn't say it. Bandages are single use. So they cost 2 each. Man, that's expensive. Those are some expensive bandages, let me tell you. Now, the bandages are interesting because they do heal. I think when you bandage yourself, you heal, is it 1 or 2? Let me look it up. Back here under items, you can check your stuff. Bandages are, you can negate the effect of 1 wound. Yes, if you have to fight 2 battles in a campaign, using bandages will allow character to take the field. Okay, yeah. So I bought 1 bandage for 2. I just can't, a rope. Rope's used for making a wilderness test. Yeah, I think I'm done. Holy water, nah. Congealed strands are useful, but they cost 6. It can be used in place of a normal strand at any time and does not expire until used. Because you only get, I think, 3 when you start a combat. Silver tree leaf. 1 dose allows you to re-roll the result of a post-game injury. Now, I do have 2 silver tree leaves right now. So I got to remember that I can use that for injury. If the character would have died, increase recovery time by +D3. If the character would originally have died, increase recovery time by +D3. Okay. Yeah, there's not much here. The rations, you may consume rations to reduce the cost by 3 gold marks when rolling for upkeep cost. And rations were, how much did I say rations were? 3. Let's go ahead and buy some rations. And that's times 3. They're 3 gold, so I've got 10. And I think it said you have, did it say you get 3 of them, or is it just, when rolling for upkeep, you may consume rations to reduce the cost by 3 gold marks. Only 1 set of rations can be eaten. And these are, yeah, it's just 3 for rations. All right. That is it. We're not doing any more trade. Okay, next is research. Do I want to do that? This is where you can choose to do prep work You can carry out a roll for connections, or you may attempt to track down a camp. I'm not going to do that. So let's do a connection roll. You may carry out a roll for connections. Let's do that. So I roll a D100, and it is a 20, and a 20 is no result. So I reached out all my connections, no jobs. And that's not good. All right, finally, we are at step 6, decide your adventure. And we can choose to explore a location, battle an enemy threat, ride a patrol, carry out a contract, rest up, or quest. Right now, I want to go battle an enemy threat, but I also want to explore a location, because on my map, which is where, I do have some unexplored areas that have popped up on the map. Explore a location. Let's do that. We're going to choose explore a location. Okay. And so when I explore location, it says you go to page 92. So this is now we're to the adventuring stage. That was the prep stage. The adventuring stage. All right, choose between settlement, enemy camp, enemy hideout, unexplored. We're going to do the unexplored location, which is, you may not be able to see it, but it's right down here beneath these trees. It says unexplored. We need to go find the unexplored location. Here it is. It's on page 94.
Hey everybody, this is Jim the Tabletop Engineer, and let me interrupt this video for about 30 seconds to let you know about my new Patreon. It's just $2 a month, and all of my patrons get access to all of my videos that normally appear on YouTube, but they get them a week earlier than normal. I also have a number of games that I play privately that only my patrons have access to. In addition, once a week, we do a live miniature painting session. You come online with me and we paint and chat. I also do a once a month live chat session. We talk about anything and everything. If this sounds of interest to you, check the video description below. There's a link to my Patreon. Like I said, it's just $2 a month, and what those extra funds allow me to do is make more videos, and that's what I want to do. So I hope you'll consider joining me as a patron, and now let's get back to the video.
At various points in the game, you will be instructed to add an unexplored location, which I did. If the text specifies that it is near a known location, add it to the same map area. Well, I did. Otherwise, place it in its own map area out in the wilderness. When reaching the location, roll a D100. Now, I am in this town called, where was it? Was it called Dark Door? Yeah, because then I went here. So it's still in the same area as the Dark Door. So I can, when reaching it, otherwise, place it in its map. If the rules do not dictate the location, place it in the wilderness. So I'm just traveling to it. I don't have to do a travel roll because it's not going to a different area. It's the same area. And it is a D100 table on page 95. That is a 38. 38 is a tunnel complex. Deep underground vaults untouched by the light. Add a delve to your map. All right, so it becomes a delve. I already have one delve on here, but I will add another. The delve, that's going to be interesting. So I can definitely do it. Let me look for the rules for the delve. I haven't done them in a while. Page 93. So it's one back. There it is. So, delves. You have discovered an old ruin or underground complex filled with danger and the promise of treasures. A delve requires multiple battles to be fully explored. Each time you visit, set up a battle using Scenario E, Site Battle. Okay. Unless the event that placed the delve on the map stated otherwise, you will be using the lurking foe enemies. Lurking foe enemy. Okay, that's good to know. It's on page 180. Delves consist of multiple areas, each of which will require a tabletop battle. We will refer to these as depths. Yeah, this is kind of like a dungeon thing, though they may be levels of a dungeon. Number the depths. The first depth is always 1, second is 2, and so forth. Each time you complete a depth, roll a d6. If the roll is below the depth number you just completed, you reach the end. So like, if I go to depth 2, I have to roll a 1 in order to end it. If I roll a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, there's another level. So it just keeps going deeper and deeper. And as you go deeper down into the dungeon or the delve or whatever, the enemies get more difficult, just like a standard fantasy RPG. So you have to, it says if the roll is equal or above the current depth number, you got another depth. And then there's a table down here which tells you, depending on the depth, it will tell you to adjust the enemy number, whether to add a captain or a unique foe, and exploration markers that need to be examined. So the depth danger increases here. It says apply enemy adjustments, exploration markers indicate how many extra markers should be placed. Okay, so you're going to be placing these markers that you have to reach in order to trigger something that allows you to say that delve is explored. It says retreating before achieving your objective causes it to be generated from scratch. So you need to finish a depth level, like 1 or 2, because if you run, when you come back, it's going to change up. Once you have finished every depth, it is fully explored. It can be removed from the map, although you may prefer marking with a little flag. All right, so it's kind of like a dungeon crawl, which is really what it is. What do you call it? The markers, the exploration. Oh, and you get additional loot rolls as you get down into like level 5, 6, or 7. So exploration markers are the things you have to add, and I remember those because I did a dungeon crawl a long time ago, and I had to place a certain number of them. Exploration markers are on page. Where are you? It may not be under exploration. It may be under markers. Markers, page 37. Okay, maybe that's not it. It's in here somewhere. Markers, location and item markers. No, that's not what this is talking about. I'll have to dig into the book because I do remember it talking about it. Exploration markers indicate how many extra markers should be placed on the table. Yeah, so when you're exploring, you have to do this thing called exploration markers, and it should be right here, but it is not. So while we're at it, while I'm still got the video, let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and stay, and we're going to do level 1. So I need to roll for a lurking foe enemy, page 180. Now, the way I've been playing this game is I start at the top level and I work my way down. So you don't have to. You could roll randomly. The problem is you might roll really high and get some very, very difficult creatures when you're a low-level adventurer. One of the things the book says you can do is you can just start at the low, and every time you have a lurking foe, you move up 1. So you're moving up gradually, which is what I'm going to do. These are going to be called giant rats. Now, there is no modifier for level 1, so their number is +5. Now, how do you determine the number to find? It's on page, I think you roll 2d6 for the enemy tables. Let's see, where was it? It's for an encounter. So it's right here. We're doing an encounter. So it's not unique. Battle encounters. So we're going to scenario. We're doing a battle encounter. We're doing a site battle. Excuse me. The site battle. There's a lot of jumping around in this book, by the way. The site battle is on page 142. And on page 140, here it is, markers. I knew there was something. So we're doing a site battle. And it tells you how to deploy the warband, where to place exploration markers, and how the first move is done. It also tells me on step 4, deploy the enemy, fight the enemy, awareness, retreat. I know it's in here. You basically roll 2d6 and you pick the highest one, I believe. Step 3, deploy. That's for an encounter. That's a different one. For a site encounter, it should say there. Step 4, Step 3, Step 2. That's Step D. Step D, deploy the warband, yes. Place exploration, yes. The first move. That is odd. It usually tells you, oh, here we go. Deploy the enemy. Okay. Place it, divide the enemy into 3 groups. It doesn't That is really weird. Usually it tells you how many dice to roll. Because it said +5. So let's go all the way back to, here it is. Let's go all the way back to just battle encounters. If you're going to fight a battle this campaign, start with battle encounters, the foe. All right, here it is. So we determine the foe. Here it is. Roll 2d6, pick the highest. That's a 5. So 5 plus 5, so there will be 10 rats, giant rats. It says, if you are fighting a defensive battle, a raid, a camp, a raid, or a hideout. I'm not doing any of those, so I won't have to increase the number. The enemy always brings 5 figures plus enemy. Okay, that's quick play. I'm not doing an unknown enemy. I'm not doing enemy armaments. I'm not doing leadership because these are beasts or animals, what have you. They're the lurking foes, or whatever you call it. And it tells you the lurking foes, during the tracking phase, roll a d6 if any warband member casts a spell, and a 6, place an additional enemy at a random entry point. So that's going to be interesting. All right, the giant rats, by the way, there are 10 of them. Their speed is 6, and they do a boost of +4. Their combat is +0. Damage is +0/+0. And their toughness is 3. So they're not hard to kill, and their armor basically is 0. It says their traits are slippery and crawling. I'll look those up. I'm not going to do that right this second, but it just usually makes them somewhat trickier to pin down. All right, so we have we're going to do delve level 1. And, oh, by the way, let me go back to that, because remember, it tells you about the markers. I want to read that to you. Where was it? Sorry. Enemy, comparable. Was it on this one? No. It was on page scenario E. That was scenario E. Cybot. Place markers. Okay. Again, my apologies, there's so much jumping around in this book. A site may contain a number of things waiting to be found. Place 1 exploration marker on the table for every warband member you are fielding. For a delve, the depth may add a modifier. Now, on depth number 1, there is no modifier. So we will be placing 6 exploration markers. And it says, each marker should be numbered, so you will be able to select for them at random with an appropriate die roll. Spread them out as evenly as possible. Each marker should be placed at some visually interesting point, such as near terrain feature. If you are playing on dungeon tiles, rooms and corridor intersections are great points. An exploration marker should not be placed within sight or within 9 inches of an entry point your warband is using. All right, so the exploration markers are just places you need to get to, and then when you get to them, the enemy does not interact, okay, with explorations. A warband within 3 inches and line of sight will reveal the marker. Roll on this table. And it's usually like trap, an item, ambush, a guarded stash, that kind of thing. It's like a surprise. You don't know what's coming. It's all random, but that's what makes it fun. It's what makes it kind of like a real dungeon delve. So I've not done one of these with this warband, and I think it's going to definitely be fun. I will treat it sort of like a dungeon. So we will see what I can come up with in terms of terrain and such. But definitely looking forward to playing this one. And remember, the object of it is to eliminate all of the enemies. So when you eliminate all the enemies, you can go down to level 2. Well, you got to roll the die to see. Since level 1, you can't roll below 1 on a d6. You can't roll a 0. There will always be a level 2. But once I reach level 2, you can roll a 1, which means there may not be a level 3, and we'll try that. We'll see what happens when it comes time to do that. All right, so that is the adventure I chose. Wow, I did not see that one coming. I really didn't expect to get a delve. So, once the delve is completely cleared out, that's when you do the roll to see if there's any more levels. All right, in the next video, I'll be playing a dungeon delve against giant rats, and we'll see how it goes. I hope you'll join me then. This is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Thanks for joining me on this quick 5 leagues from the Borderland prep stage. The next video, we will play an actual combat game with miniatures and terrain, and I'll see you then. Everybody, take care.
Check out the new RPG and Wargame newsletter. Each week, the Tabletop Engineer shares news, products, Kickstarters, and much more related to the gaming hobby. It's free to subscribe, so check out the link in the video description below to sign up.